We are going to be talking about how the State Water Agency can generate more money and begin to cover its operational and maintenance cost. We all know that this is critical this is like at the core of the reforms, because the only way we can generate more money is if we are serving customers and we put on our marketing and sales boots on so that they can pay for the water that we are giving them. A lot of the reforms have focused on metering to try to get customers to pay for what they are consuming. We have also done some PIPs where we are trying to either build more or up our collection and all of that. We want to talk today about specific things we can do from week to week that will begin to show in the bottom line, in the amount of money we are bringing in. If we don't make more money, the whole reform is going to be flat on its face, because the government cannot afford to keep producing and distributing water for free. There are other things that are competing for the resources that the government has. And the only way that last week we spoke a lot about the political will and all of that. The only way the governor is going to talk to us, is going to be willing to look at us, is if we can show that we can actually take the bull by the horn and begin to self-sustain. We're going to work hard not to try to look for the excuses why we can't do this. We know the excuses. The point of this meeting is to begin to show results from our action. So like I was saying, we have Sonny Elisha, who helped in Kaduna when they were doing Urban One, and they had created a new or modified a PIP that helped them to fit the Nigerian situation, that helped them to quickly raise their revenue. And we also have Mark, who has been helping with the implementation of the customer service charter, which is usually at the core of customer service. All over the world, all water utilities are totally customer focused, from production, distribution to all commercial services are geared towards the customer, because the only way we're going to get money is we get it from the customer. Like I said earlier, the government can only take us so far. And then after Sonny has gone and Mark has gone, then I will come in with 5 key things that I know you can start doing starting next Monday. And hopefully we're gonna give ourselves like 2 weeks, then we will come back again and do this revenue optimization meeting again to see if any of our participants have been able to implement anything and what kind of results they're getting, to encourage other people to join, other state water utilities to join in the process. So welcome. My name is Vicky Idoko Pope. I am the head of VIPCG. I am the chief convener for the WASH Academia series. And the WASH Academia series is every Thursday at 11 o'clock. And we will be covering a myriad of issues and topics that can help to actualize the objectives of the reform. Thank you for joining us. I am going to turn the table over to Sonny. Sonny, are you there?
Yes, Vicky.
Thank you.
Good morning, Vicky. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for being on board, and thank you for coming to share your time with us, or rather invest your time with us. Vicky has been speaking with, using different perspective of the meeting. She would want us to have the Kaduna experience, and also she would want us to situate revenue optimization with respect to urban water utility particularly. The time is not there for us to be able to do justice to that. We're looking forward to other opportunities to expand on that. Now, wherever we are today, I must say, we have risen upon the shoulders of quite some great parents and great colleagues. My experience or our experience in Kaduna was predicated on a history of reform champions that came through the years from the early 80s through to when we found ourselves in the utility. I will quickly mention some of the patriarchs and ancestors in that respect. Engineer Elias stands out as a very strong reform proponent, and the nation does well to recognize such colleagues that I served with and made reform very, very accommodating, such as Engineer Kabiru and the rest of management team. I say hi to you. But for the next few minutes, I would want to make a case that water supply can indeed be profitable and very viable. Now, revenue optimization discussion would always gravitate in the direction of appropriate pricing, demand management, and marketing strategies to maximize your revenue growth. Now, considering the status of the wash industry in Nigeria, I would rather streamline my discussion to the peculiarities of the wash sector as it relates to revenue optimization. So 3 things I would want to discuss today. 1, the snapshot of the environment. 2, some thoughts and consideration. And then a few pillars that we can put into practice, and we will see how positive it turns out. Now, a snapshot of the environment is simple, that most of the utilities in the area have less than 10% cash operating ratio, and less than 0.0%, I mean 0.01 of what you call operational cost coverage ratio. But it does not, it's not converted into funds, either in terms of receivables or in terms of revenue. Some argue that receivables are not revenue. Yeah, we will allow the accountants to do that. But with all practical importance, when your water has been converted to receivables, we are hoping that with some strategies, you will be able to convert those receivables to revenue. Now, the first, next to my introduction, is the issue of justifying almost all the states. In the policy, you would find a statement that says the provision of sufficient adequate sanitation to all Nigerians in an affordable and sustainable way. That it introduced the word affordable means that it required that the bill be made as a consequence of the supply. So no management are against billing. No, the policy that they adopted, the laws that were passed, the bills that were passed into law, all contains an understanding that water is to be billed, though affordable. So you are on the green, you can always bill. Secondly, is that there is the need to recover the cost of operations and maintenance. Friends, those who have depended on government or other sources for operation and maintenance know that it is often very, very difficult and a Herculean task to get revenue. Then thirdly is that there is a need not only to continue operation, but to also expand access and coverage. These are some of the reasons why we should optimize revenue. Now, next is that revenue optimization with respect to the urban wash is predicated on cost optimization. You don't start thinking of revenue optimization at the point of sale. You start thinking of revenue optimization at the point of production. It is predicated on cost optimization. Now, what is cost optimization? Ensuring that you procure your critical water treatment plant input at the best cost. The water that you produce at 1,000 naira per cubic meter will sell less than the water produced at 100 naira per cubic meter. So monitoring your production as a manager from the point of procurement is very critical. And I must say here, when in the other life, when we were managing utilities, one of the critical things we made sure was that our alum and chlorine was bought at the lowest possible price. We had the record of procuring our alum at the lowest rate across nations. So you cannot, across the nation. So you cannot be having a kilogram of alum at 1,008 and then you are buying it at 5,006, just because you are not the person selling, paying for it. So managing the cost of production, making sure that procurement of critical input is very, is at its basis cost is very critical to revenue optimization. Secondly is energy audit, to make sure that you monitor and manage the cost of your energy. All of us in water production or service providers know that the cost of energy used to rise to 30, 40, 50, or sometimes 60% of our production cost. So managing your audit, your energy is very important. Thirdly, is the personnel cost. Personnel cost is much more on the positive side. You are to ensure that the personnel emolument is heightened to the point that it is an incentive. You must not muzzle the ox that treads the corn. In other words, let's make sure that the salaries and the allowances that staff receive are appropriate. Then finally is the issue of operational optimization. That is where the concept of non-revenue water management comes in. There ought to be no waste within the treatment plant, in the transmission main, distribution main, and even at the customer point. Spaghetti connections should be avoided to such a point that most of the water produced is accounted for. The next thing I would want to highlight to my friends and colleagues in the urban waters subsector is the need for a professional commercial process flow. A professional commercial process flow. Now, what does that mean? I would want to say that a sustainable corporation is the utility that does not only provide adequate safe drinking water, but also are able to bill and recover the cost of operations and maintenance. And in order to generate revenue, the utility has to bill its customers and deliver its, the demand notes. If a utility does not have a proper commercial process flow, it will not know when to bill, it will not know when to follow up, and it will not know when to close the system, calculate, and release the, process the bill. To that extent, we need to look into our data management. The update of particulars and the payment ledger Your customer base should always be updated on a monthly basis. People feel happy when they are able to see a bill bearing their name. You could imagine, for example, if I happen to buy Vicky Pope's house, and 3 months after I bought it, I am being made to pay a bill that bears Vicky Pope on it. I will feel insulted, and I will downplay that bill. But if after I've written an application for change of name from Vicky Pope to Sonny Elijah, 1 month later, I see a bill coming 1.2 million against my name, I know that that is my bill. So updating the particulars of your customers is very, very critical. Payment ledger. We should be able to update our payment ledger as often as it is possible. But maximally, every month, ledgers must be updated. In the other world, when I manage the utility, we made sure that there are specific days for updating of ledgers. You cannot have a customer who paid 500,000 on the 15th of a month, and by the 7th of the next month, you have still not credited his account. That is unacceptable on the side of the customer. Systems must be developed in such a way that routine update of particulars and the payment ledgers is carried out. Customer segmentation. Effective debt recovery strategy is very important when it comes to revenue. Now, utilities across the world have customers and always have arrears and debts to chase. It is the responsibility of the managers to segment their customers in such a way that they can attack debt recovery, according to segments and according to categories. We will discuss that some other day. Then customer handling and customer handling and complaint management. Utilities must make sure that whenever a customer shows up or calls through toll-free lines or writes a letter, that these are followed up with appropriate responses. You cannot expect a customer whom you ignored to go ahead and pay your bill. You would see a drastic change, a positive change in your revenue if you handle your customers well. And finally, government-utility relationship. Now, government are often one of the highest or major customers of utilities, but also they subvent the utilities. My take often is that you should find a way of officially managing the relationship in such a way that the bill of states and institutions and agencies is accounted for in the subvention that they are giving. So you can't wake up and say, oh, government are owing 2 million, but every month they give me 10 million. No, just say government, I'm not owing anything, but this month they only give me 8 million. In other words, you've removed your 2 million as a bill from whatever they give you. Thank you. Then revenue optimization is also effective when you manage your data. Your production data needs to be managed well. Your customer data needs to be managed well. Your billing data needs to be managed well. And then your collection data also needs to be managed well. Finally, is the issue of non-revenue water and incentive-driven performance improvement plan. Now, most utilities have not looked at non-revenue water management as critical. But you can imagine, for example, utilities that have 90% non-revenue water. What further production do you want to increase? The best for you is to say, the much I have produced, let me try to reduce the waste. Because for every 1% of water that you lose, is that you have lost 1% of such an amount. Let's say for some of the big utilities that spend 1 billion naira on water production, and you are having 90% non-revenue water. What that means is that 900 million worth of water went down the drain. If you ever tell your governor that 900 million that he gave went down the drain, you probably may not be in the job the next day. So the best bet is for you to invite experts to train your people on how to mitigate non-revenue water. It is not rocket science. It's what your plumbers, your engineers, your commercial staff, your meter readers, and all are capable of doing. So what are the pillars from my experience? One, reliable water supply. If you get to a customer that you have not served with water, you will get a very aggressive customer. So make the bar, make the benchmark, the reliable water supply. I am not for utilities that build premises and areas that do not have water supply. No, work with your management and make sure that all those areas that have not been having water legitimately for the period that they did not have water, all the bills mistakenly billed against them should be cancelled. Immediately you do that, you will see responsiveness. Secondly, efficient tariff regime. Tariff is not an opportunity for utilities to transfer their inefficiencies, allow my use of language, their inefficiencies to the customer. You would not be having a situation where you produce 66 million cubic meters in a year and you are only having 10,000 customers. No matter how much you bill them, they will not be able to give you money that will produce such an amount of water. So appropriate tariff regime and efficiency improvement is critical when it comes to revenue optimization. Now, let me drill down on tariff regime. Sometimes managers want to say, oh, our tariff is 10,000 naira, our tariff is 5,000 naira. I quickly tell them, water utilities are not in the business of selling money. They are in the business of selling water. So you cannot be talking of your tariff in terms of money. You can only be talking of your tariff in terms of volume against money. So don't project the naira, project the consumption. Now, if you are setting a tariff, you should be able to know what you are serving the people. Let's say a cubic meter. A cubic meter is what we call 5 drums of water. That's the drums that are 20 liters. 200 liters. Now, 5 drums of 20 liters, research across, and I've been privileged to work across several utilities in Nigeria. Research across several utilities in Nigeria shows that average consumption of a household is about 10 cubic meters. Then you are giving somebody a bill as if he consumed 90 or 100 cubic meters. It is already unreasonable. It is already non-transparent. It's already inaccurate. So when you have a false bill, it discourages people from paying. But when you have an accurate, relevant, and transparent bill, the people are happy to pay. Then the fair treatment of customers, as I've already indicated. Customers must be managed well. Then continuous improvement on non-revenue water management. That is very critical. Then finally, designing and being honest to the responsibilities of performance improvement plans. Whether it is Delmap in Kaduna, or OGDAM-C in Ogun, or the PIRS in Delta, or Project 90 in Niger, whatever name that we craft and give these programs, there is an underlying requirement, and that is the fact that those who design them must make sure that they are honest to the responsibilities of the PIP. What does that mean? If you set targets, and smart targets for that matter, to individual staff, to districts, to zones, to to departments, and you put an appropriate reward system against performance. Please, when those persons, those units, those departments, when they perform, be honest to be able to pay the incentives. In Kaduna, what I will quickly say is that we even front-loaded the incentives. The incentives were tied down to performance. For example, you perform 1 million naira incentives in October. Now, what we will say is that the first 1 million naira in November automatically becomes your incentive. So as long as you will make 1 million naira in November, that 1 million naira will be your incentive for the last year. For the last month. So we were not failing. And because most of the personnel saw the honesty behind these methods, most of the units were performing well. But of course, I wouldn't want to project the efforts in Kaduna as one of perfection. No, there were stumbling blocks here and there, particularly the fact that there was no robust communication that went across labor, across districts, and getting government to understand, where the utility was going. But the spirit of the system is an eternal spirit in such a way that it cuts across persons, it cuts across traditions, it cuts across geographies. It is the same principle in Zambia, it is the same principle in Uganda, it's the same principle in Swaziland, where you give performing units targets, and you give them appropriate reward system, which we will follow. Research has shown that money has never ceased to be an incentive. Money is not the only incentive, but money has not ceased to be an incentive. So if you tie down a certain amount of money as an incentive, please, manager, make sure that you indeed pay. We saw a gradual progression from collecting 447 million in a year through to the time we exited to having about 890 million. Now, but because it was a system that knew no face, knew no name, it continued shortly afterwards. And I understand sometimes in 2018, Kaduna was able to raise 1 billion naira, and Kaduna State is located in Nigeria. Now, if a utility can raise 1,080 million naira in one calendar year, there is nothing that Lagos cannot do. There is nothing that Bauchi cannot do. There is nothing that Cross River and any state that comes to my mind where my friends are, there is nothing you cannot do. We can generate as much as we invest into production and even much more. Ladies and gentlemen, I have so much to say, but I have given us a perusa. I've given us an overview of where revenue can come in, where revenue can be sabotaged, where revenue can be undermined. This, further details will require longer time than now. Thank you. Vic?
Thank you so much, Sonny. Thank you. If we are going to ask Sonny any questions, can we see some hands up? Or if you have some contribution that you would like to make, let's see some hands up so that Sonny can answer the questions or rejoin us. Do we have anybody that has something to say?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Michael.
Okay. All right. So, Michael, we're listening. Can you unmute yourself and speak? Michael,
Okay. Well, yes, I actually appreciate the speaker. He has spoken well.
Michael, you have to tell us who you are first, no? Abby?
Okay. All right. I am the director of CIS Commercial, Lagos Water Corporation. So I realized that one of the problems that we've been having with a lot of water agencies in Nigeria is inconsistency in our policy, especially as regards revenue collection. Elisha has spoken so well about incentives. There is nowhere where you engage in marketing and sales that you don't drive performance through incentives. But I realized that a lot of the management of these water agencies are not really committed to playing their own roles when it comes to fulfillment of promises as laid down in terms of incentives, paying, whether in cash or kind. Just like he has rightly said that money has never ceased to be an incentive. They could also use so many other things. But even in paying the money, you see that when they start along the line, they'll stop. And that demoralizes the operators. I just want to admonish that our state agencies should use that tool, that is incentives. They should drive performances in revenue collection through incentives, because it has really worked. In Lagos Water Corporation, almost about 10 years ago, when we did that, it gave us a lot of good results in terms of revenue collection. Another thing that I've seen in terms of packaging, when reforms are being packaged, enough fund is not committed to capacity building of the operators in revenue collection. I mean, probably the commercial or marketing staff are not well trained to handle the challenges that they may face. A lot of work is not done in determining the right tariff that should be charged the customers. And you know, government's interest in also making the tariff affordable comes into play. So these are the challenges. What can we do in terms of setting appropriate tariffs and the involvement of government in trying to limit the rates that you can charge the citizens because they want to make it affordable? What can we do as an agency? Thank you.
Thank you, Joseph.
Thank you, so much. Thank you. We are going to go on because time is going. We're going to go on and bring Mark on.
No, so let me just quickly say one of the things about Joseph.
Okay.
Are you okay with that, Vicky?
Yes.
Good.
You got 2 minutes.
That's all right.
He agreed with everything you said.
Okay. No, it's just the issue of tariff. I am not a consultant that pushes for tariff increase at the first instance. So to say that government usually suppress the issue of appropriate tariff is not all that too correct. What I used to train is that whatever tariff it is, make sure you collect substantial amount of that. If your tariff, if your production cost is say 100 naira per cubic meter, and your tariff is 30 naira, yes, you are already down by 70%. But this 30 naira collects 60, 70% of it. Then you can now raise your hand and say, oh, my tariff is not good enough. But when you are charging 30 naira and you are only collecting 2 naira of the 30 naira, why should you be asking government to increase this 30 naira to 99 naira or to 110 naira? That wouldn't be correct. So improve your efficiency and prove to government that what has been collected is not good enough, in spite of the fact that you've collected 100%. Don't just look at your purse that it is small and just say increase tariff. Even if you increase tariff to 1 million naira per cubic meter, if you have only one customer, you that spend 3 billion naira, you only have 1 million naira out of 3 billion. So let's be careful in the issue of hiking tariff. First, let's improve efficiency. With respect to inconsistencies in policy with respect to incentives, always design your incentive in such a way that it is inbuilt, that the people generate the amount of money, not that you have to look for money from outside to pay. A utility was collecting 40 million per month before a certain PIP. On triggering the PIP, the very next month, they got 103 million. And the incentive was just 2.5. Instead of paying 2.5 out of the 103 million, which is over 200% above the 40 million they were collecting, they said next month. And they were not able to pay that 2.5 million. The next month, the collection dropped to about 89 million. The incentive was about 700, 800,000. They still said they did not have. They needed more time to pay the incentive. They said next month. By the third month, the revenue had dropped to 66. So it is being pound foolish and penny wise not to have paid that 2.5 million, not to have paid that 700,000, not to have paid that 200,000. Managers amongst us should be smart enough to know that all you needed to do out of that 103 million is to imagine in your mind that it is not 103 million you got. It was 100 million you got. Let that 3 million not pay you. Just remove it from your mind that you moved from 40 to 100 and you will go and sleep peacefully. Ladies and gentlemen, there's so much to discuss. Thank you.
Thank you, Sonny. I'm being told that there are more people with their hands up, but we know that the last 30 minutes of this is going to be dedicated to discussions. So we're going to move on to Mark. Mark, are you still here?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Vicky.
My name is
Adedayo Makadeyemi. I also work for RTI International on the USAID e-wash project. When Vicky said Sonny should speak before I do, and I feel I just need to come and share the benediction and we shout hallelujah. Because basically he had touched virtually all the content in what is supposed to be the customer charter, which is like a document that expresses the obligations of the service provider, the obligations of the customer, and other stakeholders. And these are documents that are sacrosanct when you're working, when you are having a service delivery obligation like water supply. And it covers a whole gamut of issues, connection, type of connections, who was connections from the point of delivery and all that, and the minimum service level, issues of metering, what kind of meters, who is responsible for what, at the service level, maintenance and all that, So, and I'm sure he's talked about issues of tariff, he's talked about customer complaints, that expressly talks about all these issues, and how utility responds and how the customer to respond I've seen some service charter in some places where we've worked, probably outside this country. Some of them are so tough on the customers, but yet the customers still respond. Some of the service charters that we've done in Nigeria puts a lot of responsibility on the utilities, and the utilities are making a lot of commitments. But the most important thing is some of the time, some of the utilities don't even have the opportunity to operationalize the service charter because of some fundamental issues. And that's the area, that's the particular area where I want to highlight so that we can have a lot of time to discuss, because I've seen a lot of people raising up their hand. Now, I want to emphasize on the issue of service provision. If you look at the P's in marketing, you talk about the product, price, promotion, placement, and all that. And that's where a lot of utilities must look inwards, and we should call the attention of governments. It's not necessarily the issue of tariff. Most of the time when you change tariff, it's good for you to have right pricing, but from experience, when you change tariff, it's still the same set of people that deal with the incidence of increase in tariff. Those who are illegally connected will continue to consume water that is more expensive. But those who have not been paying still don't pay, you know? So it still comes back to what Sonny said about efficiency. And the major bane of water utilities in Nigeria is availability of the service, the capacity utilization, and then the state of the network. So more often than not, you discover that resources are not optimized. You have more staff serving less customers. You have plants that are operating at 2%, 3% capacity, and yet those plants are run by people that collect salaries and all that. Some plants can run, but there's no enough money for energy so that it can cover the number of hours that it's designed to cover. And then the state of our network, to most of our cities, they have old network that ends in the city center. And yet, the best of the customers, if you do your customer categorization, the best of the customers that can really pay, they don't have service lines. They are even off the trunk mains. So even when the water corporation is making all efforts, it still does not get water to where the customers are that can pay. So when we're looking at customer service, and we don't start from the product and the placement in terms of distribution. And that's why we need to look at our approach to revenue generation in a holistic manner, in a fully integrated manner. When you are producing, you must also be sure that you're getting water to all the customers at the right pressure. These things are in the customer charter. What is the number of hours that is acceptable for service? At what pressure, what bar do you get it to customers that it becomes acceptable and all that, you know? But when you have situation where you don't have the capacity to reach out to your customers, you can't do it on a regular basis, and then there's a problem. The moment you create an alternative for those customers, you've lost your customers. And that's what a lot of our utilities are battling with, winning the markets that they've lost back. That's a big problem. Because the truth be told, where I'm living currently, my house where I'm living currently, I have my borehole. It's going to take a lot for the utility to convince me to switch. They are not even in the horizon at all. But then when they come, it's going to take a lot for them to convince me, because I've been producing my own water. So when you look at most of our cities, some cities, they just serve the government reserve areas. Some cities, they just serve the city center, where you have shops and local, old houses. Some of those houses are turned to shops and all that. But the newly developing areas, the trunk mains don't get those places. Then you can't bring those customers to the distribution network and expand your customer profile, So this is one area that I would just want to emphasize. Engineer Sonny has spoken at length on the areas of customer billing, areas of revenue generation and all that. And those are things that are clearly stated in the customer charter that comes out as a contract between the customer and the service provider, the utility, and everybody works towards it. But we must deal with the issue of the product and the placement of the product. We must be able to produce regularly, not intermittently. When it's intermittent, this is a product that people use on daily basis, per minute basis, you know. And when you have a shutdown, when you have, you have disruptions and all that, and it's incessant, people will look for the alternative. And when they get the alternative, you lose your capacity to demand from them. You can't even threaten them with disconnection. They already have an alternative. But when they are hooked on you and they default in payment and you threaten disconnection, they know they don't have a ready alternative, then they think about payment. But when the house is bold and you are threatening disconnection for service that is not regular, it's just going to tell you, good dance to bad rubbish. Cut it if you like. After all, I don't even get you when I need you. So what's the big deal? This is a reality on the field. And I think when we're looking at revenue generation, we must also look at the service. We may not need to take the entire city at once. We may have to just, ring fence places where we know we can serve very well and begin to expand to other places. But we must make sure that our network is good so that we can get water to people regularly, and at good pressure. And then we must let them be hooked to us. When they use our water for 6 months, 1 year, and we've not broken our covenant with them, they're going to be hooked to us. And then I'm sure then the issue of revenue will come. And then lastly, I just want to talk about the ease of payment. The ease of payment. Some experiences that we've had in the past is when we tried pay direct to banks. We discovered that the revenue dropped immediately. Why? Because of the ease of payment. So when I saw e-money, I was happy because I discovered that in Kenya, Uganda, they took advantage of M-Pesa, where you can just walk to somebody selling recharge card, and from there you can pay for your water bill. One of the places that I love going to these days is the banks for any reason. I don't want to go to bank for any reason, for any business. So now when you bill me 2,500 and you want me to go and queue in a bank or whatever, I mean, it's stressful. And yet we still don't want the commercial officers to collect cash directly. We want to remove human operations as much as possible. So we need to take advantage of every possible remote payment, POSs, regular places where people pay, and how people that are not banked can also pay. We know a lot of people are already banked in Nigeria, but there's so many people. So we need to think about financial inclusion, where just a regular person who wants to pay 1,000 naira can just go some few meters away from his house and then pay. Because some of the people who also default, they don't pay because it's so inconvenient for them to travel distances to pay that kind of money. So it keeps piling up, and then it becomes a customer default situation. So I'd like to stop here because I know that there are a lot of people who are on call and who want to make contributions. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mark. Thank you. Wow, we covered so much in 1 hour. It's not even 1 hour yet. We're 59 minutes. This is when you get brains in the room. We have hands up. Who wants to go first? Can we take like 2 or 3 people and then we can go on to the next one?
Hello, good morning, good morning.
Good morning, sir. We see you.
Yeah, good morning, madam. Nice to see you again. My name is Engineer Tomi Onofokon from the State Water Corporation. I'm very happy to be part of this, but I don't know if the host can permit me to share just a single diagram.
Yes,
I've
please.
sent that diagram to Mark Adeyemi. I don't know. I don't have the host contact. It is something with that diagram. I want to point out something pertinent to us, man. I don't know if it's possible.
Mark, can you help us with the diagram?
I've sent it to Mark.
Or you can send it to me. Yeah, if Mark can.
I don't have
Okay.
the code.
Okay, let's try and work with Mark. Why don't you hold on, let someone else come in, and then we'll try and work with Mark to put the diagram up. Yeah.
I want to confirm, did you, Engineer Tommy, did you send it to my email?
Yeah. Your WhatsApp.
My WhatsApp. Okay.
Your WhatsApp.
Okay, let the discussion go on because I have to.
Okay. What will be the diagram? What I'm trying to stress or to point out that, yes, to me, the understanding of revenue, you have to look at three things: taxes, transfers, and tariffs. And I guess our discussion here today is limited to tariffs alone. In my view, or not even in my view alone, but the general problem with what tariff in Nigeria is the tariffs will be low for two reasons. One, the autonomy of the state water corporations are limited. What do I mean by this? Input into water production, chemicals, energy are not constant. These are variables that change with economic realities of the day. To say to you that if you go to the market to buy a kg of alum at 1 naira today, your next purchase might be 2 naira. And most of these tariffs are designed only to recover cost of operation. What happens to huge maintenance costs? That means we are at the mercy of the government to come in to intervene at all times. In my opinion, that is going to be a tall order because the state water agencies will forever be at the mercy of the state government. And we know that demands or the needs of cash calls for the government is ever increasing. Population growth, need for roads, need for this. And also in Nigeria, like Mr. Mark was trying to say that, yes, he does not need the services of water. I mean, he has a borehole, he produces his water. I stand tall to say, sir, that's a short-term stop to this problem. Internationally, in some parts of India, in some parts of South Africa, in some parts of California, they're experiencing that cities that we call today that's water scarce cities. To say that the groundwater is being depleted or is diminishing as a result of impact of climate change. And what climate change is trying to say to us, or what the people are trying to understand, is that the era we are in is the anthropogenic era. What that means, the sustenance, the stability, our survival as humanity on the planet Earth depends on what we as humans do to it. I stand for us to recall that, so I think it was 2016 or 2017, I can't remember very well, in Pape in Abuja, it was reported in the news that ground tremor was felt. And when seismic studies were conducted by Julius Bader or whoever to advise the government on the probable cause of that, it was said about, as my figures might not be right, about 300,000 cubic meters of groundwater was being drawn daily from that area. And the government was advised to do that. I'm trying to bring out this is to say that, yes, short gap of borehole could be there, but also poses a danger to us all. So what we need to do is to come on board, let the government know these challenges, and we as professionals in this field should not be brandishing or showcasing this, because it is not good for us. Also, another thing I want us to look at is, my opinion, yes, when we want to do our procurement, like Mr. Elisha was saying that in Kaduna, they tried as much as possible to make sure that they buy their chemicals at the lowest cost in the country. Well, that's a good one. Because if you are buying your inputs from a competitive market and you are selling at subsidized rates, somebody has to bear the cost. So to me, I think professionals should sit down and let the government know this is not a question of subvention, it is gross subsidy. Mr. Mark, I don't know if you can help us share the document now. Hello?
Okay.
I think I should. Can I share?
Okay.
Yeah, sure.
Just for me to round up for us to see what the problem is. That's,
You need to
but you've seen it, sir. Have you seen it?
All you have to
Absolutely.
do is share screen.
Yeah, if I'm permitted, I can share the screen. But what
Yeah,
saying
you
that
can
it's only the host.
No, it's not only the host that can share the screen, I think. Anyway,
Well,
while
that's
we're
the
trying to
message I'm
resolve
seeing
this,
here.
can we work on this while we let Engineer Latunji speak? And we can come back here. Remember, we still have
Okay,
a
no
whole
problem. Let me stop for now.
discussion. Yeah. Engineer Latunji, can you come on? Thank you so much, Oga. Engineer Latunji, can you come on? You can't hear me. Can you hear me, Engineer Latunji? His hand is up, but he can't hear us. Okay.
He's
Okay.
muted.
Yeah, but he can unmute himself. He can
Okay,
unmute. Can you hear us, Engineer Latunji? Huh. Hang on. I'm telling my technical people to unmute him. Engineer Lat.
Hello, madam.
That's better. Hi.
Hello, madam.
Yes.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can. Can you turn on your video? Let's see you.
Yes, fantastic. I just want to ride on what the last speaker is speaking on, and I will double that with what Mr. Deyemia said. Yes, we can say borehole, yes, it's an alternative to water supply and stuff like that. You know, but the issue here that we all know the problems with water supply in this part of the world. I would not want to bore us going through all of this. Mr. Sonny Elisha has enumerated all of these issues. What I think the way forward is for between the operators who are largely government owned in this part of the world and the customers to be able to understand and to be able to come to understanding of the issues surrounding water supply. Because we both need one another to survive in this environment that we are in. The last speaker spoke extensively on the environmental issue associated with unrestrained drawing of water from under the ground. And we have all seen the problems. So it is not a sustainable thing for us for customers to be drawing water from under the ground. However, it's government service by the state water agencies. Are they meeting up with the customers' expectation in terms of water supply? The answer is no. But could they do it if they are supported well? Yes, they could. Support, is from both the government and also the customers, because sustainability could thrive only when both customers and service providers meet at a point. So what am I saying? What I'm saying in essence is that borehole could be an alternative, but it should be made a secondary alternative. Primarily, where water agencies are able and have the capacity to supply, they should be made. It's not a matter of should in this instance. This is where I'm coming to now. They should be made the primary source of supply. You know, where customers will not have, because of the environmental issues, that are associated with it. It's not going to be a matter of choice. We've seen the successes where we have success water supply in other countries. They have been able to control strictly drawing of water from under the ground.
Okay.
Hello? Hello,
Yes.
Vicky.
Yes, I'm here.
Please, can I respond just briefly Because it seems I've been taken out of context from the
Exactly.
example that I made.
Okay.
You know,
Yes.
basically the point I was trying to make is this. We, because I'm also in this, I've been in this for over 20 years. We must understand that we have competitors or we have competition. And borehole is the competition because it's the ready alternative.
Yes.
It's not a recommendation. Nobody needs to tell me to know that the best thing is to have universal water supply. We can guarantee universal quality in the network, you know, and then we can also manage our resources effectively. The groundwater sources are being depleted and the quality is being affected. I know that quite well. But the bottom line is this: when the utility is not producing, when it's not meeting its mandate, because of the nature of water, water is not Coke. People would look for an alternative. And when they get the alternative, it becomes difficult for us to get them back as customers. So basically, that's the reason why I brought up that example. Not that we are promoting alternative sources, but the reality as commercial officers is that we must know our competitors and we must know the nature and the dynamics of the market we are in. Thank you.
Vicky?
Thank you so much, Oga Mark. Okay, Sonny, you have a rejoinder?
Yes. I want to write on where the comment that Mark made at the closing of his presentation, which had to do with inclusion and electronic methods of collection. In Kaduna, we were faced with a government fiat that said, within 1 week, close all your cost centers. And over 5 years of data showed that only 5% of our customers were going, I mean, those who pay were going to the bank. I was faced with the challenge of having 95% of our paying customers to drop out. With that challenge, I escalated my thinking pattern, and I came out with what we call the preloaded debit card. It turned out very successful.
Mute Galaxy.
Yeah,
Sorry.
the preloaded debit card turned out very successful. It's a situation where the utility create accounts and have MasterCards to each of the POS that they are going to give, and then preload such accounts in such a way that every payment that comes from the customers and collected cash will be transferred into the utility account using the MasterCards. And the difference at the close of the business is taken to the bank, so that at the end of the day, you have what the balance of you had in the account at the beginning of the day. We can discuss that later, but let's get it clear. Vicky had brought out that the WASH Academia is here to bring solutions. Whenever we are triggering the impossibility, whenever we are triggering, the difficulties in the system, some of our thinking efforts drops, because if it's difficult, then let us just lie down and die. No, we should be thinking of solutions. We are here to make things as easy as possible. Yes, you have a problem of 100, but I'm thinking if you are able to solve 30, you have started the journey. Now, the issue of appropriate tariffing, it's clear. There's one of the utilities I worked on, and I don't know whether I did the service to the people I'm working with now. I am currently a utility operations advisor with RTI. US, you said e-wash program. Now, one of the utilities here not mentioned, they were billing about 6 times. They were billing 300 naira. They were supposed to bill 300 naira, a month per household, and then they were only billing about twice, correct? About twice a year. So somewhere in June, they will bill 300 naira. Somewhere in December, they will bill 300 naira. That's the whole year, 600 naira. In other words, they changed the tariff from 300 per month to 50 naira per month. Now, even in the 50 naira per month, they were still not collecting. Some of us efficiency consultants are saying, whatever bill that you place there, if the 750 naira per household, please go and collect it and show government that 750 has been collected 100% and it is not good enough. If you make it 1,000, it's going to improve this way. If you make it 1,500, it's going to improve this way. But this 750 that you're making us to bill is not good enough. Billing efficiency is near zero. Collection efficiency is near zero. But there is something that Mark introduced sometimes ago. Willingness to bill is also near zero. We are having utilities that are unwilling to bill. Friends, we utility managers must be willing to thrust out our demand notices every month. In my other life, for 5 years, only 1 month of 60 months that billing was delayed under Delma. Billing was delayed for only 1 month. For all the months we bill, that is an expert who was willing to bill. So let's add this thing of willingness to bill, billing efficiency, collection efficiency, and all other efficiencies. Let's make sure that we improve them. This has nothing to do with autonomy or no autonomy. I started from the platform that the policies that they approve at the state and the laws that they approve at the state says bill affordable rates. Now, if affordable rate is 1,000 naira, please bill it. If affordable rate is 1,500 naira, please bill it. To cover the gap, experts like me are beginning to inform government and telling them that, look, the issue of subsidy is not compulsory. The issue of subvention is not compulsory. It's a willing choice, one, between appropriate tariff and subvention. So the farther you are away from appropriate tariff, the closer you are to subvention. So let the government always choose. So it's not a utility problem. No, it's a government choice. If you say I shouldn't bill 2,000 naira, I should only bill 1,000, then you should be accountable for the 1,000 naira, the balance. If you say I should bill 1,005, then you should be able to account for the 500 naira. But if you say I should bill 2,000, then you don't have to be accountable. That is the model that we are breaking. I mean, that we are peddling now. A situation where government decides its involvement in utility funding as per the appropriate tariff. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sonny. We still got time to have a long discussion. So I am going to quickly talk to us about changing the game on Monday morning. So I'm going to put up my screen so that we can be talking from the screen. The thing that I want us to bear in mind is we need to live here. We need to live here having made up our minds that we are now going to be a customer-centric or customer-centered utility. It means that when we do everything we do on Monday morning till the end of the day is going to be focused on what the customer needs. And we're going to do this throughout the entire utility. So I'm going to show some pointers as to hang on while I enable my video. So that when we leave here, you've heard a lot of stuff. We are going to look at what we can do first thing on Monday. All right, where's my screen? Sharing, up there, PowerPoint. So we're going to be looking at 6 specific tactics that you can use on Monday morning. And hopefully by doing this, we are going to quickly begin to change how much money is coming in and how often. I know that running a utility that is moving from a government entity to a corporate entity is difficult. You are dealing with the culture that is hard to change. You have staff who are in a certain way, and they struggle with having to be an entity that is a government-run entity that is dependent on the money that is coming steadily from the government all the time, and it's difficult when you have been given money all the time, and then suddenly now you have to go out and make your own money. The first thing that you must do if you are heading a utility, and it does flow from the top, is to develop a tunnel vision on raising money from customers. Any business cannot survive unless it's making money. There's no business that can survive that is not making money, and your money comes primarily from your customers. It means you wake up in the morning, you're thinking, what do I need to do to get money from my customers? Not what do I need to do to get money from the government. First, you have to shift that mind. When your mind shifts, your actions will also shift. So if you got to know that I am running a business, and my mind has to shift to who has the money. Who has the money that will give it to me? It is the government. It's not the government, it is the customer. That means that you have to solve whatever problems there exist between you and the product getting to the customer and the money leaving the customer's hands to your hand. That is what you should be focusing on. And it's not just focusing on it sometimes, and then there's other stuff disturbing you. When I'm talking about a tunnel vision, it's the only vision you have. Get money out of the hands of the customer. The lucky thing is, the good thing that is in your favor is that if people get water, they're willing to pay for it. We saw it. We thought the whole world was going to collapse when pure water went from 5 naira to 20 naira. Are people not buying pure water? They're still buying, you know, 5 to 20. Do you know how many percentage increase that is? But people are still buying pure water. They've gotten, you know, Mark talked about reliability. They've gotten to a place where they were relying on pure water. They're comfortable with pure water. And the pure water companies still consistently produce the water. So First, total vision on raising money from customers, not from government. Yes, we know that your chemicals, the prices are going up and down, mostly up, but the price of everything goes up. You are running a business. You have to look at your inputs. Your inputs are going to, the cost of your inputs are going to go up. This is part of running business. If you're running a business, you got to find where you can get whatever your inputs are at a rate that can allow your customers to pay you. This is part of your work as the head of a utility. Not just your commercial services people, not just your procurement people. Changing from a government agency to a corporation requires that you drop all your bureaucracies and all the way you used to do things as a government agency and begin to behave differently. To behave differently, imagine that this utility that you are now the head of is your private business, and you have entered into the market and you got to make money. You got 3 to 5 years to begin to turn around this to make money. You will turn every stone to make it happen. I'm asking you to make a change in terms of where your focus is. Your focus must change from money from my government to money from my customers. Once you make that change, everything else will fall in place. The second point there is you are the captain. You know, we have mostly men here. So you know what the captain does in the football field, right? You are the captain. You must lead the charge in generating money, in selling your product. Please, please, please. You must lead the charge, lead the charge. When you are running a government agency, you sit in your office and you receive visitors, and then in the evening you sign off on files, and then you do that again tomorrow. But now that you are leading a commercial service, you are leading a corporation that has to depend on its customers for money. And there's so much you must do in order to get money from your customers. You cannot just sit behind your desk day in, day out. All your top level officers also should be involved in marketing your product and relating with the customers, changing the way they work to make sure that the customers' needs are paramount, that whatever you do, the first thing that must happen is that the needs of the customer must be met. Again, we have to, it means that the entire corporation must shift from this is not my schedule to what is needed by the customer. It means that your top engineer working up and down the street one day seeing that there is a pipe that has busted. If it was your business, you're not going to walk past that pipe. You will take it upon yourself to make sure that it works. A captain on the football field makes sure that every position is manned correctly, and sometimes runs around like a crazy person trying to cover for the weakest link in the field. Otherwise, you lose. And yes, just like a football team, you are always competing against the boreholes. You are competing against the mirror. In fact, there are many people, especially the poor areas, who would choose the mirror over you any day because they know the mirror is coming at 6 o'clock before their children go to school. Be the captain of your team. Lead by example. Become the the top salesperson of the utility. Become the top relationship building person in the utility. It is critical that you understand that you are not the GM anymore. You are an MD. You are running a corporation, and the corporation depends on servicing the customer. And until the customer gives you money, the entire loop is not closed. Beginning on Monday, please hold weekly sales meetings with everyone in your corporation. It may seem like a lot, but within that time, if you hold your sales meeting with the corporation, you will find that you will find where the issues are, you will find where things are working, and when you need to make changes. The most important thing about that a sales meeting is that it helps you to set goals for the week. Don't just sit in your office and come up with goals. You need everybody that is out in the field relating with the customer, telling you what is happening and where you need to set goals. Don't set blanket goals for the entire area or for the entire for just a business area like your area office or zonal office. Set it on the basis of the areas of service. And Mark spoke about customer strategy. Once you've got set your goals according to those your customers are to the GRAs, that in the end, the poor people who are willing to pay you for your water don't get anything. And then you are pushing to the GRAs and they have their boreholes. And then to make things worse, you send your collections people on their bikes to these GRAs to go and collect money. So, but we're going to cover that. So the second thing you must do is review your previous week's performance and the experience from the previous week. This is all what is happening in this, whether it's Monday or Tuesday or Friday, whenever you choose to have your weekly sales meeting. Review the performance from the previous week. And performance is not just the output, it's the way things went. How did people behave? What did they see on the streets? What should they be doing differently? Let the people who you send out into the field take the stage and tell you what they are seeing. And then there's people who, whatever you do, if you pay them the bonuses and all of that, they will perform. There are others who naturally will go out and perform. Reward your high-performing field staff. I know Sonny spoke about that, and Mark also spoke about that. The money that is being made is not by you alone. It is by especially the people who are the ones pounding the pavement. We saw a utility where the connection staff were bemoaning how they used to have to use their own money to go and fix things for the customers. And sometimes asking and then the customers will say, oh, it's okay, let me just give you 1,000 to go and buy this and that. That should never be the situation. If you are listening to your field staff, you will make sure they have everything they need. It is about the customer from here on. Do not start out as you are beginning. Do not start out by punishing the low performers, because you are in a process where you are trying to do a culture change. You are trying to change a behavior. So by rewarding and acknowledging the people who are doing the right things, it will encourage those who are lagging behind to want to join the elite group. So encourage them, try to find out how you can help them to join the elite group of the performers. If you start out by punishing low performers, you are introducing fear into the system. And what fear does is that it freezes people. You will see that it also starts to drag down the high performers. So do not start out punishing low performers. You encourage them, you train them, you do whatever you need to do. If they seem not to be catching up, remove them. Don't punish them in the system, because when you are punishing them in the system, remember when we were kids, well, some of you will not remember, there was a time when this country had firing squads. When you do that with staff, it is like you're making them watch a firing squad. Even if it is not directed at them, they know that one day it might be them. Don't give them that chance. We want a positive environment. So do not punish people within the staff group. If for any reason you have trained, you have paired them with the high performers, you had, tried to figure out what their personal problem. If you have done all of that and you're still not getting results, remove them. One thing that I had to tell you, you must do, even though I said don't punish people, but be firm. Do not listen to excuses. Because in Nigeria, we think that excuses equal performance. So when you ask someone, can you bring me a bucket of water? And 2 hours later, they haven't brought the water, they will come to you, oh, God, I was going to bring the water in, but as I was going out, and then the bucket was doing like this. And when I even turned the tap, I said, what is this? Why is the tap like this? So I was just, and then I was there, and then the other house girl just passed. So I said, why are you crying now? And by the third minute, you yourself will start crying for the house girl, Abby. Be firm. Do not listen to excuses. One of my favorite movies is called Jerry Maguire. And my favorite line in that is, show me the money. You are holding people, once you've provided all the resources that is needed and all of that, hold people accountable for what they are supposed to do. Do not listen to excuses. So let's look at Monday morning again, okay? Set goals for the week, for the incoming week, okay? And your goals on connections, improvements in supply, collections, and assign your high officers, your big men, your directors, to high value customers, the people who owe you a lot of money in the GRA. Let your directors and all of that go out and bring the money. Okay? Review previous week's performance, because you want, so that you can take the lessons from the previous week into the next week. Don't punish the low performers. That's what we said, because when we do that, we're introducing fear into the system, and that will freeze the performance and lower the performance of the high performers. And don't listen to excuses. Hold people accountable for what they should be doing. So we know what we are doing on Monday morning, right? Okay, I'm trying to go to my next slide. I don't know. Okay, there we go. So the next one is, I want to introduce you to the MITO, M-I-T-O, the most important top officer from the organizations that owe you a lot of money. The government offices, the banks, all these places where you produce, where you supply water to, who, when we look at our bad debt, we see that a lot of it is from these people. you have to target the meter, the most important top officer, the highest officer, the one that wields the signature, not the person that is paying the bills in the office. Target those people. Meet with them, call them, and meet with them again. Have specific goals as to why you are meeting with them. Not necessarily just to collect money, but you are meeting them so that they will understand that you are producing and providing water to them. And of course, you have to be providing water to them. If you're not, then that's going to be a problem, right? So you meet with these people so that you understand what they do, how they pay their bills, which time of the month do they pay their bills. Let them know what your issues are. You know, spend time with them even when even when you are not there to collect money, so that they will feel like they need to pay you. Then one of the things that I suggest is, if you have a high rate of a bad debt, I suggest that when you get to the meter, make them offers that they cannot refuse. You owe us 10 million. Ordinarily, we would say you must pay this 10 million, you know, you owe now, but give us only 4. That's below 50%. If not, we can make a payment arrangement and you can pay all the 10 million. But if you give us the 4 million in 2 months, we can cancel the rest of your debt. Look at your books so that you can make them offers they cannot refuse. So I would do from Monday, take a look at your customer list and decide who your high value customers are, and spend 2 days out of that week visiting them. Call them, visit them, see what it is that you need to be or do in order to either get their money or get service to them. The fifth a bonus point that I want to talk about, of course, is it fifth or sixth? Well, we spoke about that already. Gain customers' trust through improved services. They may ignore you at first. They will be like, okay, which one be this one now? The MD of the water board, just there for road. Every day they come here. But get your people to back you up by improving the supply. I've already talked about offering our meter a discount on the debt that they owe. Stop threatening customers with disconnection, because you are not in a place where you can threaten them for anything. You are not providing enough services. They are having to rely on you only for certain days, and then you cannot threaten them with disconnection. You have to find some other way to relate with them, to get them to make decisions in your favor. And someone spoke earlier about this. Please, whatever we do, let us train everyone in sales and customer service. We are trying to get people to make decisions in our favor. You know, we want them to work with the water corporation, to want the service of the water corporation, and to pay willingly. So, and one way is the way that salespeople work is different from everybody else. Have you ever been to a building supply store or an electrical supply store? If you haven't, or even a supermarket, go to an Igbo man supermarket and bring out your card, your debit card, and see if they let you out of that store without buying anything. They won't. They are consummate salespeople. They'll make you buy things that you didn't even think you needed. You train people that, selling is an art. Relating with the customer is an art. Just because you have hired customer service people doesn't mean that your customers like you, especially you are coming up on a burden that is heavy, the burden of non-performance, non-reliability, So we want to train our people, train the entire corporation on customer relationship management and on selling. So in summary, I said, develop a tunnel vision on raising money from customers, not government. Be the captain of your organization. All top level officers must be selling. Hold weekly sales meeting with everybody. Set goals for the week in these meetings. Review previous week's performance. Reward the high-performing staff and don't punish the low-performing staff. Encourage them, train them, coach them, mentor them. And if that's not working, remove them from the system. And be firm. Don't be listening to excuses. Hold people accountable for what they are supposed to be doing. And target the top, the mito, the most important top officer of your high-level customers, high-value customers. Call them, meet with them, try to understand them, help them to understand you. Go there with an agenda, whatever the agenda is. Make time out for when you are meeting with customers, even if it is in your office. Do that. You are the head of the corporation. Be the ambassador of the corporation. Go out and let them see the corporation. And the bonus point, which we have all spoken about, we have to gain the trust of our customers. We must improve services. If you are lacking money, go back to Mito and offer him a discount that he cannot refuse. And stop threatening your customers, making them lean more towards the alternative sources. And we talked about training everyone so that they can be able to, again, develop the same vision that I'm asking you to develop, which is the tunnel vision towards the customer. So you can become a customer-centric organization. Thank you for listening. I will take questions, comments, and what else you have? Are we here? I spoke at length.
Yes, Vicky, that was exciting. We're still here.
Okay. Let me see some hands up. If I can. If you have your hand up, you can unmute yourself. I know I wasn't that brilliant, so there must be something you didn't agree with. Yeah. Okay. Can we throw the floor open now to discussions? Barry, can I get you to unmute everybody?
Okay, ma.
Hello, madam.
Yes.
I don't know if I can have your number. I still would love us to have a look at that diagram that I want to share, because this is something of concern to all of us.
Okay. 070, no, 0708
Okay.
038
038
1777. That's my WhatsApp number.
177 1 2 3 4 5 6
Three sevens.
No, 0708 038 1737. Okay.
Yes.
I'll send it to you. Probably you can help me get it to so we all can have a look at it.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you very
right.
much, madam.
Okay. So, okay, who's next? Yes.
Hello. Hello, Vicky. This is Mark.
Okay.
Just want to throw a poster into the
Yes.
group because we need to be quiet. And if we're looking at things just from the business side, I know that there are places where you have business cases where because of the access, the lack of access to credible alternative, the utilities will sell faster than in some other areas. Now, even when you look at the service structure in the country, there are some parts of the country where utilities must produce water. And there are some parts of the country where nobody cares whether those utilities are there, just because of the water level and the effort you do to get water and all that. So I'm also thinking that because the utilities lack enough resources, to turn around all their moribund facilities, the utilities too can begin to cherry pick, can look at communities where they can, serve efficiently, knowing fully well that those communities are really water stressed. And from those communities, they can have their stars or their cash cows and possibly improve their financial levels, improve their cash flow. Even in the southern part of the country, I know communities where they survive by rain harvesting. And now they're already getting into trouble. You see yellow kegs all over the place. Yes. And such communities are still under the mandate of our utilities. So if they can be strategic about that, if we can be strategic about that, look for such communities, they're ready markets, and they can be good business cases for such communities. So those are the kind of thinking that I think the utilities should also look. And some of these communities are not too big, maybe 2,000-3,000 customer profile with nice battery of boreholes. They can put together a nice water scheme and get the customers metered, and the people will pay because they really need water.
Yeah.
Just trying to think aloud along that line.
Thank you. All right. Who else has another comment? Do I have the slide yet? Let me see. No, not yet.
I have it, but I am disabled, so I can't share.
Ebere, can you hear Mark?
I'm doing that now. I want to make him a co-host so he can share.
Okay, thank you.
You can share now.
Yes. There we go. Oh, what a beautiful diagram. There's a funnel.
So, Toby, comment now. Engineer Toby. Tommy.
Is he still here?
I expect so.
Huh. Let's start him up and see. Okay, well, Mark, do you know what this diagram is?
Yes, I know. It's what is called the vicious cycle
Okay,
that can be turned to a virtuous cycle.
okay.
Yeah, at the top right, you have what is called, this is a diagram from the World Bank. It's credited to the World Bank studies.
Mm.
Yeah, at the top right, you have what is called low tariffs, low collections cause inefficient use. This leads to the top left, customer use water inefficiently. That eventually leads to the next at the right. So I'll be following the spiral. I don't have to be saying next right. So high usage and system losses drives up cost, leads to investment and maintenance are postponed, leads to service deteriorates, leads to customers are ever less willing to pay. Utility lives off state subsidy. Managers lose autonomies and incentives. Efficiency keeps dropping down. The subsidies often fail to materialize. Utility can't pay wages or recruit recurrent costs or extend systems. Motivation and service deteriorates further, and the system assets go down the drain. Now, the idea is, let's turn this top right to high tariffs. Let's reverse it to a virtuous cycle. Is Vicky following?
Yes, I am.
Good. So let's reverse it. I'm expert at that. High tariffs, high collections cause efficient use. Leads to customers use water efficiently. Leads to low usage, and system levels drives low. Is that okay? Which
yes.
Investment and maintenance costs are addressed. Services improves. Customers are ever willing to pay because services have improved.
Of course.
Utilities do not have to live on subsidies. Managers now are autonomous and can decide on incentives. Efficiency keeps moving up and improving. Subsidies don't have to materialize, don't have to come. In fact, they don't need any subsidies.
Yeah.
This leads to utilities can pay their wages, they can pay their recurrent costs, and even extend systems. Motivation and services keeps improving further, and the systems are renewed by the day. So this is what is called the virtuous cycle, the vicious cycle that can be turned to a virtuous cycle.
This is a good model.
Yeah, it is predicated on high tariffs. Now, what some of us are saying, this is a good model for fairly performing utilities. When you do not have a system, when the system is dysfunctional, like I had said in my presentation, high tariffs does not help you.
At all.
Tariffs only help you when you have a commercial process flow that is efficient.
There's a minimum performance that is required.
Exactly, you have to have a system first. First, you must have a customer cadastre. You must have a cadastre. That is, a customer database must be there for you. Number two, you must be capable. No, first of all, you must be supplying water. That's the first thing. You must be supplying water. Number two, you must have customers and have customer cadastre. Number three, you must be able to bill them regularly. Number four, you must be able to recover what is billed. Receivables must turn to revenue.
Money, yes.
Exactly. Now, when you have this system, that is when you can say, oh, 300 naira is not good tariff. So let's now increase it. So we plug in 700 naira into a model and show government how the model will improve if it moves to 600 naira. Then we also model 1,000, model 1,005, we model 5,000 naira, depending on what we call demand side analysis. So when you are dealing with demand side analysis, tariff studies, you are talking of functional utilities. But when you are talking of dysfunctional utilities that pump water twice a month, that do not have a customer database, that when they want to do billing, they just choose the people they don't like and write their bills with hand. And after they write the bill with hand, they can tear it if the person does not pay. Now, that system will not thrive under high tariffs. Yes. This is the point I tried to make at the beginning, during my presentation, that first collect, receive the sales, the receivables that you are expecting, receive it first before you can complain that it is not good enough. The flip coin also is this. In a situation where government is giving subvention, like I said, all you need to do is to put the system together. And we try to do that in EWASH. If you raise tariff to 2,500 and they are operating at 60%, 80% billing efficiency and 60% collection efficiency, you would only be expected to give 1 billion naira in subvention. Now, if you increase tariff to 2,000, 3,500, and they maintain the same efficiency, you are going to only pay 600 million. So you would have saved 400 million and you can transfer it to another sector of the economy. If you allow tariff to go, maintain the same efficiency and reduce non-revenue water by 30%, you will, in fact, only be giving these people 100 million naira by the fourth year. And the rest of the 900 million can be used elsewhere in the economy. These are sciences and models, WASH models that we have propagated and we are propagating to leaders of thought and to political leaders. So there is always a way to go around it. We are not buried on high tariffs by fire, by force. No. If you say the tariff should remain by 1,000, then be sure to deliver 1 billion naira to the utility, or 3 billion naira per utility.
We have to optimize what we have presently first.
Exactly. Exactly.
You know, one of the things I wanted to come in to say is, and this is within the system, there is the fear of separating from the government. It's like, you know, you have a teenager that must go out on his own now, and he's been living at home. He has had no bills and whatnot. And now suddenly you say, you know what, you can be out on your own. You can pay your rent. You can buy your own food. So not many emancipation is a difficult thing. And as we are talking about sales and generating your own revenue, what is always in the system is that fear of emancipation. You know, it's not unique. It's not unique to what we're doing now. It's not unique to the water sector. You know, in history, when the formally abolished slavery in the US, and the slaves were told, you can go now. There was a large number of slaves that refused to leave the plantations where they were in. Even though it was such a bad condition that they were under and all of that, a lot of them chose to stay in place in the plantations. It is that fear of emancipation, of having to take responsibility for your own subsistence and for your own existence. It happens whenever you do that with organizations. I understand that we could do all the analysis of everything, but it boils down to produce water, get money for the water that you have produced. That's
Vicky.
all. If
Yes.
we do that, everything else will follow suit. The government can see you can stand on your own feet. They won't keep pulling you back. And we can keep saying the government should this and the funders should that and all of that, and the community should this and that, but it's still within the state water utility, it's still within the water utility to find a way to stand on its own feet, to become emancipated. And we are over the time by 6 minutes. So we should, let me hear closing remarks from you and then Mark, and then we can close. Thank you everyone for staying this long.
Yes. Vicky, you close rightly. You would realize that you can remove the sharing, please, so that I can see my video.
Mark, yeah, thank you.
Good. You would see that throughout my presentation, I did not talk of autonomy. I did not talk of utilities funding themselves. I did not talk of government handing off. No. Revenue optimization. Revenue can be optimized by government agencies. Revenue can be optimized by commercial entities. The strategies we are offering is for the institution, water providers as they are now, to be capable of raising funds from the services they offer. You would realize that National Water and Sewerage Corporation in Uganda, that is a signature utility or a benchmark utility for revenue optimization for government-owned institutions. You would see that they have never projected the time they transited from fully government-owned to private or commercial. That is not the issue. They only project when they had this magical friend of ours who came out and said, if government is willing to pay its bill and it allows me to carry out my business as it ought to be, I am going to relieve government of subvention. The government believed him and gave him that open-handedness to work with his staff, remunerate his staff accordingly, and the journey be continued up to the time the person had left. Even after the person left, the next manager built on it and has multiplied the performance of the utility. So let's not get into this. Government allows us to do this, does not allow us to do this. Let us operate effectively. Now, as per funding or not funding that Vicky brought in belatedly, it's always a choice. What should government subvent for you? Should government subvent production, or should government subvent salaries, or should government subvent operations? Most utilities will want government to subvent salaries and leave them to the vagaries of critical water treatment inputs, chemicals, and energy. But that is often penny wise. I mean, yes, pound foolish and penny wise, because the salaries are less than the sum of the chemicals and energy. Wisdom demands that you guarantee production so as to get your salaries. That's when you are given the choice between what should you fund and what should you not fund. But when that is not even given to you, all you need to do is to demonstrate that you are being accountable. One frightening thing, ma, and ladies and gentlemen, is that most of our utilities are being given 100% of their operational cost and sometimes maintenance cost, and they are still billing and collecting revenue. So what is happening? Assuming you are being given 100% your operation and maintenance cost, which is 100 million, and then you are raising only 10 million. It means you are having 110 million naira to operate in a year of 100 million. You now ask yourself, go and check the balance sheet. Is it having 10 million naira in savings? The answer is often no, because they are not conscious that that 10 million naira is supposed to subvent for 100 million to become 90 million. The more accountable we become, the more transparent we become, the more autonomy that we or utilities are going to be given. I'm looking forward to other engagements, either on this platform or on a private capacity. We are Nigerians, and we are willing to make sure that 1, 2, 3, or 10 utilities stand on their feet, whether we are funded or we are not. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you. Thank you, Sonny. Mark, have we lost you?
No, I'm still in the house. Thank you, Vicky, for putting this beautiful package together. And Engineer Sonny, as ever, thank you for being lucid and being so professional. I just want to encourage our colleagues that, yes, we can. I've worked with some utilities where I find out that people have lost that confidence. People have lost that confidence that we can really turn things around. But if Kaduna can do 1 billion in a year, and I know Calabar has done about 400 and something million before. There was a time in Lagos that we were paying our salaries, and we were also paying 50% extra of our salary from internal water sales. So I believe that we can, and we really need to think in that direction, that if we put together all these commercial principles, and then we look at those potentials. When the Ugandans came to us, they just said, your money is out there. Go and collect it. You know the way they speak? Go and collect it. Your money is out there. Go and collect it. You see,
exactly.
Somebody told us, he said in Entebbe, they were generating about $50,000 then. And he sees Abeokuta, he sees any capital city in Nigeria, you know, bigger than Entebbe and all that. And he felt we are not fulfilling our potentials. So just like Sonny said, we shouldn't look at the dark side of things. Let's believe that we can turn things around, even with the resources at our disposal. And then the moment we get around that difficult bend, then we begin to go places. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you so much, everyone, for attending. First of all, we have recorded this whole session, and it's going to be, we're packing it on YouTube, and we're going to send out a mail with the connections to where it is on YouTube. It's important that you encourage your staff to even go and watch it. Just don't leave it to yourself. And they can go on YouTube and watch it, like and share the videos and all of that, so that the more of us that are aware of these discussions, the better it will be. Same time next Thursday, we will be sharing what the next topic is going to be very shortly. Please be here. We are going to build the water utilities that this country needs. We are not going to fail our country. You know, we have to build it. We have the brains that can build it. I mean, look at us. We're not even 50 yet, and look at how much information came out. We can do this. So thank you so much for trusting us and for coming, and hope to see you next week. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right, bye.
Thank you.